Ask a combat veteran what scared them most in war, and the answer probably isn't what you've seen in movies. It's not the heroic charge or the slow-motion bullet flyby. The real horror is quieter, found in small moments that never make it onto a recruiting poster. It's the eerie silence after an explosion, the strange feeling you get when a familiar street suddenly feels wrong, or the sight of a friend's empty bunk on the night they done the comeback. One of the first terrifying things soldiers often talk about isn't even the enemy. It's the slow dawning realization that the rules of normal life have been completely switched off. Back home, a car driving down the street is just a car. In a war zone, a car that creeps toward a checkpoint and refuses to stop is a potential threat. A kid on a rooftop might just be a kid, or they might be a spotter for a mortar team. Dogs bark differently. Birds go silent. The horror isn't just in what you see, but in not knowing which tiny detail might be the last one you ever notice. Then there's the sound. Not the explosion itself, but the split second of warped silence right before it. Veterans describe it as a strange flicker in the air as a rocket comes in, or a whistling arc that's there and gone before your brain can even process it. The first time it's surreal. After that, any similar noise, a car door slamming, a toolbox dropping, floods your body with that same icy adrenaline. Long after the war is over, that reflex remains. A firework goes off, and in an instant, you're back in that open field, your heart pounding, counting the seconds between launch and impact. Night brings its own special kind of fear. On patrol in the dark, your entire world shrinks to the narrow cone of a flashlight, or the eerie green glow of night vision. Every shadow in a doorway looks like it could be hiding someone. Every alley feels like a trap. You can smell cooking fires and sewage, hear distant conversations in a language you don't understand, all while stepping over trash, loose bricks, and maybe a wire half buried in the dust. Is it just a piece of junk, or is it a trigger? You don't know, and you don't get the luxury of being wrong. The presence of the dead is another terror, but not always in the way you'd think. Soldiers see things most people don't, but what often haunts them is how quickly the extraordinary becomes routine. The first time you drive past a burned-out vehicle, it knocks the wind out of you. The 10th time, you're checking your sector, worrying about the radio, and trying not to look for too long. The horror is in that quiet internal question. What does it do to a person when this stops being shocking? Equally disturbing is what soldiers witness on the faces of civilians caught in the middle. A mother standing in a doorway, her eyes blank, holding a child who, at 5 years old, has already learned not to flinch at gunfire. Or a farmer desperately waving you away from his field, not out of anger, but out of pure terror that being seen talking to you will get his family punished later. You start to understand that for many people, war isn't just a news story or a temporary deployment. It's the permanent background of their entire lives. That realization is its own kind of nightmare. There's also the constant, gnawing fear of friendly fire. Almost every veteran has a story about a moment when communications got crossed, a call sign was misheard, or a round landed where it absolutely shouldn't have. Maybe no one was hurt. Maybe someone was. Either way, the terror is sharp and specific. If the people on your side, with the best intentions and the same flag on their shoulders, can almost kill you by mistake, then what are you truly safe from? And then there's the smell something movies can never capture. Burned rubber, hot metal, diesel fumes, and sweat soaked into body armor. Mix in the sharp smell of disinfectant in a field hospital or the metallic tang of dried blood on a stretch of pavement. Years later, a whiff of something similar from a mechanic's shop can yank a veteran straight back into a moment they'd rather forget, their heart racing before they even know why. But some of the most terrifying things happen long after the fact, replaying in the mind's rearview mirror. These are called moral injuries, those moments when a soldier had to choose between a bad option and a worse one. Being ordered to hold your fire and watching innocent people get hurt. Or the opposite. Firing in a split-second decision because you thought you saw a weapon, then spending the rest of your life wondering if you were right. The replay button on those memories never turns off. In the end, the most terrifying thing a soldier might witness in war is what they see in themselves, what they're capable of enduring, what they're capable of doing, and how incredibly hard it is to fit that version of themselves back into the world they left behind. They come home carrying stories that don't fit into polite conversation. Memories they wish they could explain, but also hope no one ever asks to hear. The battle doesn't end with the last firefight. For many, it continues quietly for the rest of their lives. Thanks for watching.